Imagine taking a peaceful walk in the woods, the scent of damp earth filling your lungs, the gentle rustling of leaves your only companion. But then, something changes. The air grows heavy, the silence unnatural. You notice a weathered sign buried beneath the leaves, "Keep out." And just beyond it, bones. Scattered. Half buried. A chilling realization sets in. You are not alone. This is just the beginning. Tonight, we uncover 3 terrifying real-life stories from the deep woods. Encounters so disturbing they'll make you think twice before stepping into the forest again. Stay until the end, if you dare. Story 1. The Forgotten Path. 2 years ago, I made a mistake that still haunts me. I've always been an avid walker, preferring the solitude of nature over the bustling city streets. That day, I decided to take a new path, one that twisted alongside a river and led deep into an unmarked section of the forest. The air smelled of damp earth and rotting leaves, the kind of scent that clings to your clothes and lingers for hours. I wasn't afraid. Not yet. After 3 hours, the sun had begun its descent, casting long shadows through the trees. The deeper I went, the more uneasy I felt. Then, I noticed something, an old wooden sign, its paint peeling, partially buried under leaves. It simply read, "Keep out." My heart pounded as I scanned the trees. That's when I saw them, bones. Small, scattered, half buried. The remains of an animal, or something else. I turned to leave, but then I heard it, a low whisper, weaving through the trees. It wasn't the wind. It was something else. My skin prickled as I caught movement in my peripheral vision, a figure, tall and thin, standing motionless between the trees. My breath hitched. It had no face, no distinct features. Just a dark, elongated body that seemed to shift with the swaying branches. I ran. I never looked back. Story 2. The Cabin in the Hollow. It was supposed to be a weekend escape. My friend Jake and I had rented an isolated cabin deep in the forest. The drive was long, the roads winding and treacherous. By the time we arrived, dusk had already settled, and an eerie stillness blanketed the woods. The cabin looked wrong. Something about the way it stood, nestled too perfectly among the trees, made my stomach twist. It felt abandoned, yet untouched by time. That first night, as we sat by the fire, a scratching sound echoed from the front door. Not an animal's scrabble. No, this was slow, deliberate, as if something with long nails was tracing patterns into the wood. I crept forward, heart hammering. There were marks, long, deep scratches carved into the door. But they weren't fresh. They had been there for a long time. Jake and I barely slept. The scratching never stopped, but when we checked, nothing was there. At dawn, I glanced out the window, and my blood turned to ice. A figure stood at the edge of the tree line, motionless. It was tall, inhumanly thin, its face obscured by tangled, matted hair. As I whispered Jake's name, the figure moved, suddenly, violently, disappearing into the trees. We left that morning and never looked back. Story 3. The Silent Watchers. I had been hiking the Appalachian trails for years, but this was my first time venturing off-route. My GPS led me wrong, and before I knew it, I was deep in uncharted territory. The silence here was different, too complete, too unnatural. Even the wind had abandoned this place. That's when I saw them, strange wooden effigies hanging from the trees, their twisted forms swaying gently despite the still air. Panic set in, and I moved faster. Then, up ahead, I stumbled upon something even worse, a circle of stones, arranged deliberately. Inside it, the ground was scorched black, as if something had burned there long ago. The air smelled sickly sweet, like rotting flowers. I turned to leave, but the path was gone. As if the forest had shifted, swallowing it whole. I wasn't alone. The shadows moved, too fluid, too fast. Whispers slithered through the air, words I couldn't understand. Then, they stepped forward. Dozens of them. Hollow-eyed figures emerging from between the trees. I ran until my legs gave out, collapsing onto an old logging road. I don't know how I made it back, but I do know I'll never set foot in those woods again. The deep woods hold secrets that should never be uncovered. Paths that lead to nowhere, shadows that move when they shouldn't, and whispers that echo long after you've left. Each of these stories is a reminder. There are places in this world that don't welcome visitors, places where something ancient still lingers, watching, waiting. These stories take time to uncover, research, and bring to life. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. And remember, next time you step into the woods, listen carefully. You might not be as alone as you think.